listen, never in my life associated the word boring with baseball.
We know what's up.
Me? Yeah. Famous? Yeah.
And I'm like giddy over there smiling like, we're about to win this shit.
Did everyone give you crap? Give me a good host story.
I'm not picking it up.
We both love the game.
We talk about it every day.
Getting on baseball.
Having some popcorn, you're fooling around your phone.
I'd have to wait in line for 3 hours.
Hang on, because it's about to be a wild ride.
There is absolutely no human being on the planet I'd rather be talking to more than Nick Martinez. Once again. Yes. Nick, I said it in spring training. I think I have documented proof. I know you're going to say it's early. I don't care. I said, keep your eye out for Nick Martinez, Cy Young.
No. No. Way too early.
I know. You can't respond to that. I don't care. I'm patting myself on the back.
Nothing I do is really sexy either to win a Cy Young. The guys that win it have, a mountain of strikeouts.
Oh, you know what's good? Getting outs. Let's be serious, Nick. I don't know, you just poked the bear a little bit. I think the best analytic is outs. It's outs.
Yeah, they're important. You need them as a pitcher. That's what we're trying to do. Record as many outs as possible, and then let the guys, pass the baton, or let the guys play defense for you, and try to get into a rhythm where you can get your offense back in the dugout as quickly as possible, so they get grooving. I think the one loss I have this year, I had just a ton of guys on base throughout the whole game. It was a grind. Against the Pirates, wasn't commanding my changeup very well, and a big part of the reason why we lost that game is because I was out in the field. Our guys were on defense for too long and couldn't get into a rhythm. And so, as a pitcher, you're trying to have quick innings and fill up the strike zone and get into a rhythm for the offense.
Well, first of all, congratulations for everything to this point. And I know that it's one day at a time, one pitch at a time, and everything else. By the way, we had on Rich Hill 2 days ago.
Nice. How's Rich?
Oh yeah, you want him as your PR guy.
He's a man. I love Rich.
We were talking about it though. We were talking about sort of you back in San Diego. You guys were together in San Diego and your evolution. And I think that's when we first met. And I look at it as it is one of the things that we've talked about, I think, is just sort of the evolution of you. You've had such a unique journey. But I think that one thing that you do really well, and maybe you can speak to this, is taking little bits and pieces of everywhere you've been. Everywhere. Now it's let's see if I can get this right. Or without even looking, right? Texas.
Yeah.
Texas. Japan.
Yeah.
San Diego. Am I missing one there? No. San Diego. Then is it the Reds?
Reds. Yeah.
Then obviously, the Rays.
Yeah. One thing, Japan. I was on 2 teams in Japan.
Two teams. Yeah. So you've taken a little bit of everything to land sort of where you are now. I want you to reflect on that. I want you to say, okay, did you always realize? Were you always pretty good at that? You know what I'm saying? Because some guys are they're caught in, I got to get here. I got to do this. I got to be this.
Yeah.
You're always pretty good about just taking.
I got caught up in stuff like that. I love my time in Japan. I probably needed it, but for the first few years, I always had, an ear on the ground for what's going on in MLB and what teams are trying to, what teams are looking for me to get back. And not to knock Japan at all. It wasn't until my last year where I was like, I'm just going to focus on being the best pitcher I can be here, and that's what helped me get back to Major League Baseball. But I was caught up in all that stuff, and it's not easy, right? Not to knock the NPB, but I dreamed of being a Major League Baseball player, right? And so it's hard. It's hard to separate that. It's hard to have that that awareness. You have to work on that. So it's not an easy thing. You got.
So when did you get it? Did someone say something to you?
Last year? No, that last year where, my first year in Japan, I well, let's go back before that. Before I went to Japan, I feel like I fell on the wrong side of the fence on the analytics stuff. I was still very old school. I came up in a Texas Ranger system that preached that, right? Preached early contact, filling up the strike zone, and we're kind of seeing a cycle of that coming back to Major League Baseball with all the rules and the rule changes and the style of hitting that's coming back to contact, the stealing, and all that stuff. So. And it was my experience in Japan that, and my experience in Texas that's my foundation, right? So it's kind of in my favor a little bit. But it was, my first year in Japan, I was like, I'm just gonna pitch like I know I can, and I had a good year, right? I pitched deep into ball games. I created weak contact, but I wasn't using my arsenal properly according to the analytics to create swing and miss when I needed it. Um, and so it was from 19 and 20, I was really learning, trying to learn the analytics side of baseball, understanding, how that fits, to my arsenal and trying to put it to work. It was just, I was trying to do that at the same time as competing. And it wasn't until 2021 where I was like, I just need to focus. If I'm going to focus on the analytics, there's a time and place for it in the off season to work on that stuff. And then I kind of just created phases where I was going to work on my mechanics, work on pitch design, and then the last part of the off season, I'm just going to try to get into that competition mode. And going
So
into 21, I was just trying to be, just trying to be the best pitcher I can be in Japan. And I was perfectly fine with if the NPB is where my career is going to, flourish and I was going to be an NPB player for the rest of my baseball career, then so be it. I was just fortunate enough to have a really good season. Um, put my, kind of broadcast my name a little bit louder, being in the Olympics and then come back to the States.
So then you get back to the States, and then obviously we had talked about you had qualifying offer and one of the things I think that people talking to people, again, I'm not just saying this because you're here, and I'm here to build you up still, like, but when you were the Reds, like, hey dude, like he'll do anything, like he's just a good teammate, he wants to help you win, he wants to pitch well, and I think again along the lot what you're trying to make your career, I get it, right? But I think that having that attitude of I'm learning along the way, I'm getting better, I feel like I can get better, and then whatever that looks like in terms of a role, in terms of a team, whatever it is, I think that all of that is, I mean, it's an evolution of you, right? I mean, right?
Sure, yeah, yeah, it's early in your career again, you kind of get caught up, right? And um, trying to make the most of your career, financially, establish yourself as a big leaguer. You get caught up in all that stuff, especially the finances and roles and all that stuff to help put you in the best position to succeed or to, to make the most out of your career, right? And so, yeah, I got caught up in that too. It wasn't until I was older and that last year in Japan and especially my first, year in San Diego where, I signed as a starter. And I got moved to the bullpen, my first year in San Diego, and that was hard. That was hard, right? Because I expected to start, but um, that's where communication comes in. I sat down with Bomel and Ryan Christensen and Ruben Niebla, and I was like, listen, this is what I thought I was here for, and but they were able to, talk me off the ledge, so to speak, and this is what you can do to help us win, and we need you to do this, and that's where I found my niche of being able to start and relieve and kind of bounce back and forth from bullpen to relief within a season. And um, and then that's ultimately where I learned, if I just focus on winning, everything will take care of itself. And I've really embraced that mentality of doesn't really matter if I'm pitching in the first or ninth because I found, I got some opportunities to be the closer in San Diego for a month or so, and then I
Mm.
was I would set up, and I really enjoyed that. I had something I'd never really done before. Every time I was in the bullpen, I was a long reliever with Texas, but I was pitching well, and they kept kind of pushing the envelope and see what situations I can be successful, and I was pitching well in the seventh, eighth, ninth, throwing all 3 innings, throwing the ninth or the eighth or wherever the team needed, and we were winning ball games, and it was a lot of fun that adrenaline pitching out of the bullpen. I really enjoyed it, but I still knew I could start, and so if the team needed me to start, I can do that too. And again, I just embrace that mentality of whatever inning it is, the first or the ninth, anywhere in between. If we're gonna win ball games, then I'm up for it. And so um, that's where that started, right? So it was like if I focus on winning, everything will take care of itself. The contracts will come, the winning ball games, celebrating with your teammates, that will come. And again, I'm 35. If whatever accolades come, that's an added bonus. But
Well,
if I can help a team win, and we're having beers after wins or popping champagne bottles, that's ultimately what I want.
I want everybody to listen to that. I hope that everybody listens to that because, I remember, you talk about making money and having career and everything else and getting whatever it is. There has to be a peace of mind to get there. Like I say that it's like, if you do what you like to do, you're going to work harder at it. You're going to be better at it. If you have the right perspective, then it'll lead you to ultimately, you would like to think that it's going to lead you to more money, a better lifestyle and everything else because you're good at it because you're taking the right approach to it. I know that I remember
Ultimately, it's like winning, right? And then they want winners on their
they
team.
want
So yeah,
winners.
it helps. It definitely helps. But communication is a big part of that, right? Like I would communicate. That's probably my biggest regret with Texas towards the end there. I didn't communicate enough of what I was going through, or didn't have any direction of what was expected of me. And so I was kind of left floating there, not knowing. And that's a hard place to compete, right? Just not knowing. Um, what you may not always hear what you want to hear, right? You like in San Diego, I was expecting to be a starter. I sit down and talk to him, but just having that conversation gives you peace of mind, even if it's not what you want to hear. And as competitors, and as athletes, if we're given direction, if we're given an objective, we're going to do whatever we can to achieve that objective, right? And so, like having that conversation with Ruben, and yeah, I wanted to be a starter, but it's like, hey, we need you to be a reliever right now. It's not okay. I don't want to pitch bad as a reliever, so I'm going to do whatever I can to pitch well and earn that spot back in the rotation, or find a situation where, dang, I'm pitching pretty well right now out of the bullpen, so whatever, and we're winning ball games, so let's keep rolling.
Speaking of communication, when I ran into your pitching coach, Kyle Snyder, and I was asking him about you, and he had mentioned the communication he had early on with you. And like so hopefully you can elaborate on this because I said, hey, what's the what's the difference in Nick Martinez? And he started rattling off stuff, and but it's like I'm trying to understand it, and there's a lot of stuff. It's just like
Yeah. He communicates. He's an
yeah.
elite communicator, but he's so smart. Like you gotta like
Oh,
some.
but that's the thing. That's the problem. I'm not that smart. But one
Neither
of
am
the
I. It's
things
taken a while. I don't know if you watched my spring training, but
one of the things that hit was he, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but he sort of when he first started talking with you, he mentioned Drew Rasmussen,
yeah,
about how he had evolved, what they were doing with him, and how he was approaching things. And
yeah.
again, please tell me if I'm off base, but said we see some of that in you that you can sort of take the same approach. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I turned to Drew, pretty early and often in spring training, and just about understanding the Rays scouting report, how he attacks hitters. Pretty similar arsenal. He obviously he has a way better fastball than I do, and but he has elite control and command, and he changes shapes and attacks guys, right? And so I'm able to, I can also change shapes. I have a different changeup than he does, but I would talk to Drew a lot about, about our scouting reports, about how he attacked guys, and the verbiage that Snide likes to use in those scouting reports to help me understand it. So Drew's been a big part of my early success here.
What so the cliche question is what has been the difference, and maybe we've talked about sort of we always talked about the Rays way. I've talked to about 10 different pitchers now. What's secret sauce, the secret sauce, the secret sauce. It's strike, throw your best pitch for strike one. But also, like, there is probably for you an evolution of little things about pitch usage and everything else. And I know you've probably been asked this, but what are some of the things that you felt like sort of have hit home for you to allow for this early run?
Yeah, the biggest difference from last year to this year is, my first pitch strike percentage. If you look back, my first 3 years post Japan, I attacked the zone way better than I did in 2025. 2025, it took a dip, and then you just saw a lot of my numbers kind of go down. My whiff rate went down, my chase rate went down, and so that was the overwhelming, that was the glaring issue, right? It was just getting ahead, and so that's what I had some awareness of that coming into camp, but again, the information that we get of how successful pitchers in general could be when you have strike one is a huge gap.
Did it
And
hit
so
different? Did it hit different coming from the Rays, coming from Snyder? Like, did it
Yeah,
hit?
because they show you data, right? They show you, how successful you can be, and communicate that with you, and harp on that and getting ahead. And then when you go out there and do it, and the proof is in the pudding, it just gives you more confidence to be aggressive in the zone and challenge guys. And we've been able to see that where, I'm attacking the zone, and I've always been able to change speeds, but I'm also commanding my off speed better than I did in last year. And so that's probably been, that's the biggest part of my success so far.
Did do you look back and say, now, listen, I mean, you've had good pitching coaches in Cincinnati and everywhere else, but do you look back and say, why didn't I do this before? I'm not saying like why didn't they teach me, but why like something is like, hey, why didn't I trust that as much as I'm trusting it now?
Yeah, I don't know if I've always trusted it, right? I think going back to last season, I think it all comes down to mindset, right? I'm this year I'm able to get back to that mindset of attacking guys early and being aggressive in the zone. Just last year, it's not that I wasn't aware of it. It was just I was hard. It was just hard for me for whatever reason to get back to that mentality. Last year, I felt like um, maybe I was being a little too tricky, trying to get strike one, maybe nibbling a little bit, even if I didn't feel like I was nibbling, maybe just either pitch selection or again going back to that mentality of being aggressive in the zone. Maybe I just got a little too tricky, fall behind 1-0, try to get tricky again, and now I'm 2-0. I just feel like I got to fight back to get into the count. That's really what I was, just internally feeling last year, where I was just kind of in that survivor mode almost the whole season, and I had spurts of it throughout the season where I did have that mentality and I was attacking guys, but I just wasn't able to hold on to that mentality. And I just found myself kind of, again, in that survivor mode, just trying to compete as well as I can. And I knew I've always been really good at creating soft contact. So it was just like, how do I, just get back into the count to create soft contact?
Mm.
But again, if a lot of times if you're not in those control counts and you get soft contact, if I'm getting soft contact in 2-2 or 2-1, the hitter swings are still have a lot of confidence in them. They're still swinging aggressive, so the weak contact is more falling for bloop hits. Whereas if I'm attacking and getting soft contact early in the count or in advantage counts, maybe the hitters in between more. Now you're seeing, pop-ups that get caught in the shallow outfield or weak ground balls that stay in the infield and don't squeak through. And so just last year, it's just been more of a mentality change of being aggressive in the zone early.
I love it. I mean, again, we're here to educate, not only entertain, but educate. And have you ever been on a team that won this much? I know that's like a weird question,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
as we sit here, we can only do what we can do as we sit here. You're winning a lot. Have you ever been on a team? I'm trying to think that.
At this clip, no, the closest I came was probably that 22 team in San Diego, right? Where
Yeah,
we were in a bunch of games. We early in Texas, we had a couple um, stints like that where we're winning some ball games. The starting pitcher was rolling, but at this rate, now we're having a lot of fun, man. We're playing for each other. No one's. I mean, I've been saying it since the beginning of the season, man. No one's taking any selfish at bats. Everyone's playing for each other, doing whatever the game has asked of them, from an offensive side or defensive side, right? We're playing for each other, and it's a lot of fun, man. We're rooting for each other, and it's showing.
Did you see this coming?
When I first came into camp, it was very clear that this team, again, it comes down to the communication that this coaching staff, this organization, has, right? How good they are at that, and it felt like from even in camp, guys knew what they had to do to be successful. They knew themselves and how to, they had the direction. And the information to all right, this is what I need to do to help the team win. This is what I need to do to be successful. And so guys had a really good grasp of that, even in camp. And we started off a little slow, but again, it was early in the season. We were on the road for 2 weeks. I think when we got back home, we're back in the Trop. The excitement of being back in the Trop, and the Trop got everyone got everyone excited, and we started rolling.
Because I saw you play in Port Charlotte in spring training, and like I'm like, you never know. Like you're not, I don't know. Guys are playing for 5 innings, and then I see you guys play now, and there's a very definitive way that you guys are playing, which is awesome. I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. It's such a cliche of putting pressure on the other team, but this is like a very real thing, and it's
Yeah.
pressure in a lot of different ways.
Right.
I'm gonna give the Rays their slogan right now. But it's pressure, whether it's Chandler Simpson bunting, whether it's Junior Caminero hitting home runs, whether it's guys not swinging and missing, making contact,
Right.
whether it's pitching like you are, like, okay, you know what, we're coming at you, and you're gonna have to hit the ball over somebody. Like all of that, like that. It's such a cliche. We're gonna put pressure, like. What am
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wrong?
No, and it's not. Yeah, it's everybody, right? It's Johnny, fighting that bat and getting a pitch that he can, get a sac fly or move the runner over. It's Yandy doing the same thing, a big hit for us with a guy on second or moving him over, and then eventually what happens is you put so much pressure on the defense, on the pitching staff, that eventually they're going to be out there long enough where they do make a mistake, and then the big hit comes, a double comes, a home run comes, and that's the way we're playing. Again, we're playing for each other. We're doing whatever the game has asked of us. Get the guy over to second, get him over to third, squeeze play him, hit a pop fly to. There's just very situational hitting. And then on the defensive side, on the pitching side and defensive side, we're trusting our defense. We're attacking the zone. We're forcing guys to be engaged in swing mode, and then trusting our defense, and then passing the baton, right? I mean, how many times have I come out of the game this year with guys on base, and the bullpens come in to save my ass or to get out of a jam and keep the lead. So again, and that comes down to, we hang out so much that there's a lot of trust and a lot of confidence that whoever comes in after me, whoever's coming in, whoever's hitting behind the guy that just sacked him over, is going to get the job done. So it's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. I asked Chandler Simpson if he's ever seen anyone faster than him. He said no. Have you seen
Yeah.
anyone faster than him?
No, Ellie's really fast.
At least, yeah. Well,
So
that's
Ellie,
good. I'm glad you said, like, you didn't just say, "Oh, well, he's my team." Like, you played with Ellie is
yeah,
fast.
yeah,
Yeah.
Ellie's really fast. I mean, those are some two really fast guys, two guys that impact the game. Um, very different ways and very similar ways at the same time. They both use their speed on defense to cover ground, to make great plays out there. Ellie has the ability to hit the long ball too. So but then he makes, he goes first to third on a ground ball, on a hard hit ground ball to the left fielder, right? I mean, he makes insane catches in that, in that left field no man's land there behind third base. And Chan also, man, he's putting so much pressure on. You saw it the other night where he put pressure on Ghazi. He didn't have enough time. Any kind of slip up and he's safe. And same with Jimenez in that game. Ground ball. Jimenez makes that play 9 out of 10 times, but the pressure For it to be fast and clean and smooth is really hard. And so he's able to get on base and then steal second, or get to second, steal third, bad throw again, and he scores. And so we're finding ways to manufacture runs, and we're playing really hard.
I love it. Last question. You have a very unique existence of playing for managers, going from Tito
Great ones.
to Cash, right?
Yeah, I
I
had Bowman in San Diego. I mean, I
Oh
had
yeah,
Ron
but I want to
Washington.
focus on these two because I was there when Francona was managing Cash,
Okay, yeah,
right? And I'm not, and Cash is obviously, I mean, I think he's the most tenured manager in baseball, been around the longest, which is bizarre to me. Bizarre. But not just like everybody's their own person, but for you, what do you see in those two? Do you see any similarities, and what is the sort of the common bond that maybe makes what they do so good?
yeah. I mean, first of all, their ability to, their baseball IQ, right, and their ability to, make decisions that help us win ball games and to put guys in positions to succeed. They're extremely good at that. And then their communication skills are elite. Again, they're going to give you direction. They're going to give you an objective. They're very clear on that. And then they both understand how hard this game is and understand the human aspect of it and support you through that, right? I mean, they understand that, if they see you competing and working your ass off, and they're gonna have your back, right? And so they want to win. It's clear in the decisions that they make. They're doing things to win ball games, and then they're gonna support you and then keep it fun, man. They keep it really light. Both those guys are, have had their struggles as a player and understand that, right? Like that's very important. It's hard to, you see a lot of, there's great coaches out there that were great players, but there's also coaches that were great players but aren't able to relate to that, to the failures of baseball because maybe they didn't have it. They were just so great at as a ball player, right? But they're able to communicate and support you and make it fun, man. They keep it light, and you want to play for guys like that.
Yeah, thank you for that perspective. Again, I was just thinking of this. I mean, back to back, those two guys. The story, yeah, they're and like you said, they got good personalities, good way about them, good communicators, and also fun to be around. So go enjoy Toronto. Go up to the CN Tower. Go stand on the glass. I don't know if you've been up there.
I haven't. No, I don't mind heights either. I just haven't had the time to go up there.
All right, all right. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to do this. It's always good to talk to you, man, and we're so happy for you. So thanks, Nick. Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, of course. Anytime, Rob. Thanks.